I have come here to the beautiful hills above West Lake near Hangzhou, and I gotta tell you, this is one of the most beautiful settings early on a Sunday morning to drive the new Lynk Co 01 PHEV. This very, very handsome compact SUV is probably one of the most capable compact SUVs I have ever driven. Let's talk about that name, Lynk Co. When I first heard it, Lynk Co, I thought it was a law firm. Who's Lynk? The name Lynk. Is it like Mercedes and Benz? But it turns out it has nothing to do with all of that. What the hell does Lynk Co mean? Well, according to the folks at Lynk Co, Lynk is for linking people together, linking person and car together. And co does not mean company like everyone thought. It actually means communication. With all the communication bells and whistles in these cars, connecting not only the driver with the car, but the car with the rest of the world and your friends or co-workers. Cars like this are truly living up to that name, Lynk Co. There are so many great things to talk about when it comes to this car. Not just its striking good looks, its road manners, its characteristics, its value for the money. That is one thing about trying to film in the woods, is that there's lots of bugs around. The car itself is not a very large one. In fact, it's rather tiny. When I got driven around in this car just the other day, I was in the passenger seat and I felt kind of cramped in it. But once I got in the driver's seat, it felt more like it was wrapped around me. When you see this car on the road, or any other Lynk Co for that matter, you know immediately that it's into Lynk Co. There's no mistaking it. And that's because mostly of this three-tiered front end design. And I love it. I know a lot of people say, oh, it's controversial. I don't think it is. I haven't met a single person in China that doesn't like the look of this car. I think it's beautiful. It's something different and unique, and they hit a home run with it. Climbing into the back seat, for such a compact vehicle, man, I've been in a lot of them in China. There is so much room back here. Nice little storage pockets here. They're not mesh, which I would prefer, but the back of this seat is a pleasant thing to look at. It's got this very nice material with a chrome and Lynk Co right there. There's no mistaking what kind of car you're in here. Pull down armrests, go for a nice little drive. Get a couple of USB ports here to charge your phones with, and the giant sunroof opens up to a nice airy feel back here. Boy, it's already getting hot out here and it's only about 8 a.m. Let's take a look at the trunk, or as my Aussie friends will say, the boot. Of course, I got all my camera gear back here, so forgive the mess. I can actually see it being used in real life. So you open it up, man, there's quite a bit of space back here. It's a lot bigger than I thought. It's not as big as some other SUVs, but there's plenty of space. And of course, the seats are 60-40 split. You fold those down and it opens up very, very nicely. A couple of tie downs, a little pocket for garbage. It's not a heavy lid, but with one button, it closes for you nicely. The door handle has a little bit of the logo right there. And this is what you're greeted with when you come in. I like the Lynk Co right here on the door sill. The words Lynk Co are everywhere on this vehicle. I guess that's important. The brand is only a few years old and they're still trying to get brand awareness. Here you have the shark fin C-pillar, which I'm not the biggest fan of design-wise, but they are growing on me, mostly because I see them in a lot of new vehicles out here. This car in white, I think, looks absolutely fantastic, especially with the black roof. What a beautiful, beautiful car. These running lights that kind of come up, some people say it makes the car look like a frog. I think it looks fantastic, especially at night. These are really, really beautiful design touch. It's got a real roof rack, not just like a bar stuck to the top, but one you can actually tie things down to. That is awesome. One thing that does worry me long term about these vehicles is the amount of pieces that there are throughout it. Not just on the exterior, but also on the interior. Let's start with the exterior. You got here this one trim piece that goes down right here, and then another line right here, and then you have that shark fin C-pillar. Let's talk the interior design of this car, because it's, for me personally, as an old man, I'm 42, it's a little too loud. But when I sit here, I feel like 10 years have gone off my life. It makes me feel younger sitting in this car. The design is very millennial. I've used that term many times because that's who I think really, really belongs behind the wheel of this car. As I get older, I want a little bit more posh, a little bit more wood trim, and very, very soft seats for my old ass. But this car, I feel like I'm 10 years younger driving it. But let's talk about lines. I'm one of these guys that really likes a simple, clean, minimalist design. If you follow my channel, you know that that's kind of the aesthetic that I lean towards. But that's not for everyone. I understand that too. When you get in this car, you are assaulted by all the different lines and materials and features just everywhere. The amount of angles in here is insane. There's just strange shapes with sharp angles. Even the start-stop button armrest here has these strange angles. That's something very common in Lynk Co. There are a few circles, such as the climate controls, which of all the materials in here, I think feel the cheapest, have the cheapest kind of plastic feel. In fact, you can move them around and feel a little bit of a squeak, but the feel of the shifter is great. That's very important. Having a good solid shifter makes you feel more connected to the car. So here's what I mean. Just the door panel itself. How many lines do you have going? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'll give that one 10, 11. 11 different lines just coming at you. Same thing on the dashboard here. How many different horizontal lines do we have? 1, 2. There's another one here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Another one, 8. There's one up here, 9, and the center speaker. It's just too much, at least for me. If I've had a long day, I want to come and relax. That is where I believe the large dashboard screens like you see in the Xingyue L are much more appealing to me, because you can have, the screens have some kind of media playing, or the GPS or the music, anything. When you're out and about, it's practical and it creates an environment that is fun and exciting. But after a long day, you just kind of want to come in and wipe the screens clean and have nothing. Clear your head. That is impossible to do with an interior like this. Now, that being said, when I do drive this, especially at night with the cabin lit up, I do feel like I'm going out for a good time. And on a Saturday night, driving around a beautiful city like Hangzhou, that's pretty cool feeling. Boy, I tell you, these 360-degree cameras all around this thing really make navigating tight parking lots a breeze. Of course, it being a hybrid vehicle, starting out in electric mode is nice and quiet and smooth, and a beautiful morning here in the Westlake district of Hangzhou. It also gives you the opportunity to test the quietness of the vehicle. It's remarkably quiet. Got a little AC rolling right now, but road noise, wind noise is remarkably little. For such an inexpensive car, this is quite a pleasant place to spend time and go for a drive. A car like this, as a crossover SUV, one might think it's most suited for, having adventures into the mountains. It does have that utility, but where this car really lives and flourishes is in the urban jungle. It's one thing to drive a car such as this on a long stretch of highway with the adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist. It's pretty effortless to drive, but where it really shines is in the city. And I'm not talking about just nicely paved roads and stop and go traffic. Now, the car is a little dirty. That's because I've been driving this over the last couple of days throughout the city. Really put it through the wars. We've had all kinds of different weather. We've had hot weather, we've had a little bit of windy weather, and some torrential downpours, which made for a variety of driving experiences. The roof opens up very, very large all the way to the back, and of course you can open up the sunroof and get a nice cool breeze on a beautiful day. There's so much variety of road conditions in a major city that it really challenges the suspension quite a bit. Now, it being a CMA platform, a very capable platform and used for a variety of cars, most notably the Volvo XC40, it shows a maturity on the road itself. It's not the poshest of rides, but it's not harsh either. There's almost no vibration when you go over any kind of bump or inconsistency on the roadway. In fact, over the last couple of days during some pretty heavy downpour, I felt extremely confident driving this thing through what other cars would slow down and kind of creep through a puddle. This thing, I just felt comfortable just charging it. You can go off to the side and not create any splashes. I'm gonna charge straight through it, and I did it with 100% confidence. Because of the hybrid nature of the drivetrain, it's zippy. It's zippy around corners. It's got ample passing power when you need it. Yeah, I mean, that electric power as you step on it is a blessing. And you don't have the range anxiety, it being a hybrid. You just fill it up and go. The cabin is completely void of any squeaks and rattles. I mean, this car is screwed together pretty nicely. I'm quite impressed. So my conclusion is the habitat for this particular vehicle is in a city. It's a daily driver that will get you to and from wherever you need to be in relative comfort with great braking, as this bicycle lady just comes right out in front of me. Now, that's one criticism I do have. The braking is a bit touchy. It takes a little bit of time to get used to it, but once you use it for a couple of days, it's second nature. Of course, all the safety equipment on the vehicle too, blind spot warnings, all the cameras, even if you are brushing up close against a cone on the right hand side or an overgrown brush off the side of the road, it'll warn you. It'll beep at you. But the warnings are not too much. With all the beeps and whistles and navigation, everything, all the noises that a car makes, one of the first things I ask anybody is, how do I shut it up? But I haven't had that experience. The warning beeps and whistles have come when they need to be there, especially in Chinese cities, very densely populated cities, where you have people walking, jogging, bicycle riders, little e-bikes which you cannot hear going by you at high speed. It's really nice to have those features. The music system is bumping. It's quite nice. I mean, I was playing some hip-hop, I played some hard rock, I played some classical music in the last couple of days, and all of it was wonderful. The seating position is upright and almost perfect. I have no idea where I am. I'm just getting lost out here. Sunday morning drives, the best. Everyone has different driving positions. You can have both hands on the wheel. You can drive like this. Some people like to drive with their knee, right? For me, I'm most comfortable having my arm right here at this armrest, which is movable. You move it back and forth depending on your liking. And I like to have my elbow on the door sill. Now, some cars, the door sill is too high or too low, and it doesn't give you a very good driving position. But this one, just right. The seat is heavily bolstered. I mean, I'm not going anywhere in this thing, and that makes for spirited driving, as well as the interior design of the car. All the angles and everything that you see before you, all the technology, the lighting, you know, by the way, the customized color lighting, all of this makes you want to have a spirited drive in the hills. It is not a very big vehicle. It's rather short and it's rather tall, but you can feel the center of gravity is just about right. It's not too low, it's not too high. It feels very competent on the road. Okay, so there's different drive modes. You have a drive mode shifter right here, and there are pure, which is pure electric, hybrid, power, and eco. Now, the hybrid is just fine getting around town. In fact, I put a floor down and it'll put my head back climbing this mountain here. Wow, okay. So I'm totally happy with that. But when you need that little bit of extra, you can put it into the power mode where combustion and electric are combined to give you that little bit of extra oomph that you might want. In eco mode, it is sluggish off the line, but if you're just going out for a leisurely commute to work or going to the supermarket or just going for a drive on a Sunday, eco mode, not too bad. And I like how easy it is just to switch from one mode to the other. You don't have to go into some kind of massive menu eco types and change it. It's boop, right there, good to go. Visibility all around me. I mean, I don't feel like I'm sitting in a bathtub. Although the window sills are higher than some other cars, there still feels like there's plenty of visibility all around me. With these giant side mirrors, visibility out the back is pretty small, but we have 360-degree cameras to help us out with that. Maneuvering tight areas such as this village that I'm in with lots of people walking, lots of cars. is very, very easy. You just hit a button, 360-degree camera will show you everything all around you, and you can just creep through in safety. Warning me, blind spot warning, bicycle rider, don't want to hit our friends in the bikes. It's tall and roomy, yet short and snug. The car just kind of wraps around you with the technology and the drivetrain and the silence of that electric motor. It's a wonderful, wonderful feeling. You really do feel like you're part of the car. My Havel is a 10-year-old Havel with a stick shift, and I gotta rev it to get up hills, you know, I gotta creep around things. It's 10-year-old, you know, it's got 10-year-old fit and finish, so it's got a few squeaks and rattles, and there still runs really well, by the way. But this is the perfect size for getting around a metropolitan city or these tight mountainous villages. The practicality of this car mixed with its good looks and its quality. I mean, it being a new brand, we're still gonna have to see about long-term reliability and durability for this car, but it having the CMA platform, which is shared with the Volvos, it really does feel like a Volvo in many ways when you drive it. It's got kind of that same feeling to it. I hate to compare the two because they are so different, but that CMA platform, it really makes a difference. You have the two climate control systems. You have the temperature and the fan, and they're so prominent. I love that they're actual physical buttons and they're dials. It's very, very convenient. But what I find myself doing is when I want to adjust the volume of the radio, I'm always reaching for the climate control and either making it too hot or too cold or turning on the fan. The actual dial for the volume is here. And I love that there's an actual physical dial for volume. That is something that a lot of manufacturers seem to be going away from. I mean, I know in my girlfriend's Corolla, to adjust the volume, you either have to find a button on the screen or on the steering wheel. Here, it's conveniently located for both the driver and the passenger. Yeah, that is one thing I noticed. Okay, so let's say you need a burst of speed to pass someone on the highway, okay? So you give it that little burst of speed, and then after that burst of speed, you need to slow down really fast for whatever reason. There is a little bit of a lag between that burst of speed and when you hit the brakes. It feels like you're still accelerating a little bit before the brake actually takes hold. It's just a tad unsettling. And this is something very common in a lot of vehicles with the wireless charging pad. And it wasn't just my phone. This is an iPhone 11, so you know, that I thought that could have been it. But I also had a buddy of mine in here and he had an iPhone 12. You throw it in there and it also barely moved the needle after maybe about 30-40 minutes of driving around. In fact, I prefer not to use that. I prefer to use the USB connector here because the charging is just much faster. See, it's not quite a Volvo, but it's also not a GV. Where does it fit in the market? Is it a youth brand? Is it a sporty brand? Is it a millennial brand? And what it really is its own thing. It's got technology, it's got inclusiveness, it's got very unique and in my opinion, very loud styling. It really has its own character, and the designers and engineers at Lynk Co have really found a niche, an underserved niche in the market that I know a lot of automotive makers have been trying to capture for decades. It's that young professional who likes good quality and fun, but also practicality. And I feel like Lynk Co has hit the nail on the head, not just with this car, but with their entire lineup. This brand has just recently been introduced into the European markets, and they're trying to push a subscription service where for a flat rate, you get the car. From what I've been told, they've been doing really well, even in the times of COVID. So that's a very interesting ownership model, if you would call it an ownership model. Also, the simplicity of the car itself. There are almost no options. In fact, I think the only option is like a tow hitch. Everything comes in this car. The sunroof, all the technology, all the safety equipment, everything is all in one car. And for the price of this car, the value is amazing. That's becoming very, very common in a lot of Chinese brands. The value for the money, and yes, the quality for the price you get, will blow you away. Let's compare it to its cousin, the XC40. You have more space, You have a longer battery range, 60, 70 kilometers around there. You have more technology, more features, and a lower price. And a much more modern and interesting interior and exterior. Although, admittedly, the Volvo is a lot more posh. All right, guys, I'm gonna have to shut this off and play some rock and roll music as I drive through this beautiful, beautiful mountain.